Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to continue on with my examination of Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, um, Black Supremacy, and white replacement. Because Tucker Carlson's complaining about white replacement, all of these WASP rich white guys complaining about white replacement when I'm living it. Okay, some of them may be living it, but they're the ones who are making the policies. As I keep pointing out, you know, I'm willing to go take my company, Global Expat, start my company anywhere in the world. Just provide me with a system that has a judicial system that's not corrupt. And that's not possible. But I'm going to suffer discrimination in other countries. Yet I'm discriminated against in my own country and white countries. This is the thing. You ask if you told the Chinese, okay, so we're going to have we want equal amounts of whites, blacks, and browns in all of China. I don't think they'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, I guess that's right. That's fair. You try doing that in South America, I don't think they're going to be like, oh, yeah, okay, we're good. So, look at it that way. So anyway, the thing is, so I've been, all of this, even the war is in order to detract attention away from how the banking system and the financial markets are just sucking the wealth and power away from the people and to the hands of a few oligarchs. So let's play this. Oops. I'm not sure. Yep, I haven't done my sound yet.
Is the way in which this Trump regime is being incredibly corrupt. And boy, oh boy, if there's one thing that they put a lot of effort into, it is their schemes. It is their scams, their schemes, the way they steal money. It is kind of astonishing, the multitude of ways, the myriad ways that they basically commit crimes, okay? Well, we have another example here, which nobody's talking about, but man, is this a big deal. This is such a huge deal. So look at this. Just in, 6 suspected insiders made $1.2 million betting on a U.S. strike on Iran. Most of these wallets were funded in the last 24 hours, specifically bet for February 28th, and bought yes hours before the strike. So yet again, 1.2 million betting on a U.S. strike, clearly insider information. People have speculated. Is it Jared Kushner? Is it Steve Witkoff, who are profiting currently off of foreign policy 1,000 ways to Sunday? Is it fucking Barron Trump, right? Is it Donald Trump himself? Is it Trump Jr.? Is it Eric Trump? It could literally be any of these people, any of them. Clearly they think the law's not real anymore. Crime is legal. We get to do what we want. Who's going to come after me? Fucking Pam Bondi? Is that what Pam Bondi's going to come after me? Is Kash Patel at the FBI going to investigate me? They have made a mockery of rule of law. And I never want to hear another motherfucking word about Hunter Biden and Burisma or any sort of Democratic corruption because they make fucking Nancy Pelosi look like a schoolgirl with her insider trading compared to the shit that they're doing, y'all. That's a fact at this point.
That's true.
So they made money off this. They also made money off the illegal regime change in Venezuela, where they abducted Maduro and are stealing the oil in Venezuela, and Trump put it in a private account in Qatar. He controls a slush fund with that money. He controls a slush fund with, he's trying to get $10 billion from the U.S. government for his Board of Peace, which is just basically trying to appoint himself global emperor, where he controls $10 billion in funding for Lord knows what. I mean, this is a criminal syndicate. It's a mafia. It's a mob that's running the world. This is not a government. There's nothing legitimate about this government at this point. That should be.
So my thing is, with all the podcasters, the journalists that have gone independent and say, I mean, I was listening to Glenn Greenwald earlier. He reminds me of Truman Capote in this whole story. But, whining and complaining because he's the first. I mean, I contacted him when he first went independent. I said, oh, please, would you expose what's going on in family courts? Now, this is tied to the Epstein files because this gets into the trafficking of the children. And that family court, child protection services, adoption, human trafficking, child trafficking, it's all related. It's a cancer. If you don't go in and get rid of it all, it's just, you're never going to get rid of it. It'll just keep on growing and growing and growing. So it's all related, and that is with the Epstein files. Then you get into the whole sugar baby stuff. That's Virginia Groove, right? That goes into my beef with all of the robber baron heiresses from my boarding school in Virginia, Foxcroft. And you have the aristocrats in England. My boarding school in England, Cobham Hall. But even that gets globally because you got Vanita from India, Natasha Robertson Bridge. She's in Portugal. There's, one of them she's African. I forget. But anyway, there it's global. And even Kaiser Wilhelm's great granddaughter is an alumni of Cobham Hall. So yeah, so I'm kind of all over the map. Then, of course, since I'm trying to work on women's rights, I went to women's rights groups, and I'm doing human rights. So I went to human rights groups for assistance. Oh, I mean, why would I ever think of doing that? Human rights only happens in Darfur and Sudan. And women's rights, oh Lord, those are dangerous, dangerous women who are feminists who want to rule the world and castrate all of the men. So yeah, I never got any help there. And gentlemen, the feminists, they've taken over the human resource management. They are wreaking havoc in workplaces. That's why we got whores all over the place. That's all, either you brown nose the women or you sleep with the men to get ahead. Everything's a mess. So, what Trump is doing is wrong. But the reason he's doing it is everybody's been doing it for so long. And the few people who are getting pissed off are just sitting there bitching and moaning like a bunch of cackling hens in a country club. Whereas I'm sitting here, he says this is a crime syndicate. I'm like, yeah, duh. Let's go over here. There we go. Over here, let's see. Well, we got, see, my letters to all the bigwig journalists and their legal liability for ostrich playing under RICO and Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Now, this is as applicable to the podcasters as the journalists. Here we've got, do I have, will it come up? Yeah, here it is. See, this is the Domestic Violence Extremist Report. This came out in 2021 by the Biden and the administration. And here you got racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists. DVEs with ideological agendas derived from bias, often related to race or ethnicity, held by the actor against others, including a given population group. Sorry, it's not very clear. So animal rights as well, anti-government. One of my favorite is sovereign citizens DVEs who believe they are immune from government authority and laws. Those are all of the diplomatic corps people. The sorry, I've got my nose is a bit blocked up today. And then over here, where is it? Yeah, so everybody with they think they have diplomatic immunity, the diplomatic corps, all of the people at the IMF, the World Bank, the UN, and believe me, oh, they've been committing crimes, things that come under labor rights violations, as well as subversion of the U.S. Constitution and overthrow of democracy and the American government, and contribute and assure that the country becomes a third world with right now we're at $39 trillion debt. I don't know what the objective is, 100 trillion. I don't know, run us into the ground. Because that's what's being done and they know it. And I've been telling them that. And they just, I work right downstairs. I feed them, or at least I serve them, or we feed them. So I give my elevator speeches all the time. See, while all of the other podcasters and everybody else is just trying to cash in on this, I'm trying to find everybody to bring them to court. But even Baron Coleman, oh, this is also America First Legal. See, this is where I had started to go to lobby American Libertarian. All you libertarian guys out there, that's particularly what the libertarians, I would say, what makes them different is their fiscal policy issues. Where I've been knocking at the door of the Libertarian Party since Ken Mollman spoke with him even. Okay, here it is, the January 6th attack. So they came out with the Biden DVE report right after that in response, and they just have been using it against the minorities, against the whites ever since, whereas they could use it. But see, all of these letters, I've been lobbying, I've been please, here. I set up, I knew I was not going to get in. See, I did the letter to House Tea Party, Freedom Libertary Caucus, but then I also set up other people like General Mark Milley. You think the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff is going to read my email and act on it when I can't get any of the congressional members to? Of course not. Merrick Garland, you think, oh, I've done the same shit with Jeanine Pirro and Ed Martin. I've been building evidence. Sorry. Not only do I have my throat to contend to, I've got a light, but if it's nothing does. I'm sorry. I'm trying out my new microphone. Okay, so then I've got Chris Ray of the FBI. As I say, I've been setting these people up. Oh, I love the one with the Capitol Hill Police because I said, wait a second. With the January 6th, the people are getting pissed off, all of these parties, and don't tell me that the Capitol Hill Police do not know how congressional members and their staffers are fucking around on U.S. taxpayers' money. Now they should be saying something too. Oh, no. Oh, we had somebody who was killed. He died of a heart attack the next day. He wasn't killed. That was not murder. And then the National Guard, General Walker. It's also all these kids, and you had all these kids in the streets, National Guard kids in the streets. They're children, absolute children. I'm like, my God, are you out of high school yet? I don't like that. Yeah. Oh gosh, the little girls, they really. But I'm like, I don't like the fact that you're out here, you little girls. Ugh. But my God, I I told the Latinos who've been giving me attitude, these little kids, I'm like, huh, guess what? They're going to be having the because they're like, no, I was born here. I'm untouchable and I'm touchable. Well, now I'm like, hey, guess what? Y'all's ass are going to be the first ones in the draft. Guess what? I'm an old lady. They're not going to draft me. The jobs will be left for me now. Oh, good. Go. See, I'm like, this is not just about money. This is also about, population control. We're going to get rid of, all of these entitled snot-nosed brat millennials who don't know how to work. We're going to send them off to war and toughen them up. And the ones who survive, well, have been used as a social climbing tool. This is what they've done in the past. And we've seen the results. For example, John Warner, who was married to the Mellon Bank heiress. What's her name? Catherine. I guess it's Catherine. Tim Mellon's sister. And his second wife was Elizabeth Taylor, actress. So he really used it social climbing for himself in his pocket. Look at his son. Yeah, his son's a playboy, a race car driver. Well, he was. He settled down. He got married finally. But he's still an Ivy League prick. He got a letter from me, but ignored me. I'm like, what the frick is your uncle doing with the 2024 election? Nobody's looking into Tim Mellon. Oh, when there was something about Amelia Earhart, which popped up with the Trump administration, I said, you see a little friendly favor for Tim Mellon from Trump. See, these type of things, it's like ding, ding. Yep. Confirmation. Nobody's putting this together but haul their asses into court. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's all hot air again. Another one, just hot air, just hot air. I know, it's scary going up against these guys. Look what they did to Charlie Kirk. Anybody you could, that's, either, or, but don't be on the fence, sitting out here, you podcasters, more and more of you every day, bitching and moaning and screaming, and then shutting me up who actually wants to do something.
Be obvious to fucking everybody. Obvious. Okay, so just absolutely crazy people profiting off this shit. So add it to the list.
Yeah.
So now you have not only Trump launching a crypto scam, a shitcoin, a couple days before his inauguration and scamming his own supporters. Melania also did that shit. They both did that shit. Sometimes I forget. I forget that it was Melania.
Yeah, I have reached out to Melania when she got into office in this, and Asha Vance. She's another, what is this? Our first lady and our second lady, both are foreign honeypots. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen.
Too, that it's a whole family of criminals. They both did it. And nobody even talks about that anymore. Scamming their own supporters. You still had people like fucking Joe Rogan at the inauguration, clapping for Trump, clapping for the crime family, okay? 2/3 of the world liberty tokens that are Trump's, they are bought by foreigners. They have the exchange, World Liberty Financial. 2/3 of them are bought by foreigners. Trump pardoned a guy named CZ who laundered money for Al-Qaeda because that guy bought $100 million in World Liberty tokens. The degree of the corruption is so fucking astonishing that sometimes when you hear these things, you go, wait a second, that can't be right. Like, I gotta double check this. This can't be right. Eric and Don Jr. have a Bitcoin mining operation. They created this thing called the Executive Branch Club where it's like $500,000 to join, and the whole point of it is pay to play corruption. That's the whole point. This is something that if a Democrat did, you would never, ever, ever hear the end of it. They have, Trump has a...
Yeah, see, the whole Doge under Elon Musk and, expose US aid. And I'm like, definitely, thank you very much. That needed to be done. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Now we need to really get to work. Oh, no, pack up and go home. See, it's all just for show.
A hotel in Dubai, that violates the emoluments clause. That alone is worthy of impeachment. He has a golf course in Qatar. Same thing. You can impeach over that. He's taking a $400 million plane from Qatar. Trump Jr. has this company called Vulcan Earth, where he's taking $620 million from the federal government, from the American taxpayers, from the Strategic Office of Capital. He's taking that money for his company that he's invested in. They got a resort in Vietnam. They took millions or tens of millions of dollars from Saudi Arabia for these live golf events. He literally has a pay-to-play pardon scheme going on where you give him a bunch of money, he'll pardon whoever you want. Don't care. Did you do, multi-million dollars worth of fraud, don't care. He can fucking pardon you and you won't even get asked about it. He pardoned so many fraudsters and conmen.
Did you sacrifice and babies and eat them and drink blood and all of that stuff? Don't worry, we'll give you a pardon. I mean, don't worry, we'll just get some more podcasters out there and put them out there. Nobody, mainstream media we've had in our pockets for a long time, and don't worry, we're working on the podcasters. It's all for show.
On a regular basis, the media doesn't even bother asking him about it anymore. He just does it, and we move on like it's another day that ends in Y, because in many ways, it is another day that ends in Y. It is another day that ends in Y.
Yeah.
He's made billions of dollars in the White House. $1.8 billion this term alone, at least $3.4 billion in total. This motherfucker's selling NFTs and trading cards and watches for $100,000, which is nothing but a giant money laundering scheme for foreign billionaires and governments. Jared's taken $2 billion from the Saudis. They got a $500 million project in Oman. This is on top of the charity being a fraud, the university being a fraud, stiffing his own workers who built his businesses. Like, what do you expect, bro? Charged with 91 crimes, 34-time felon. This is what they're doing. And again, nobody's talking about it. Have you seen anybody in mainstream media bring this up right here? That there are 6 suspected insiders who are betting on war with Iran. You want to talk about fucking depraved. Bringing immense death and destruction, trying to launch World War III and personally profiting off of it. It's like what they're doing with Gaza, where like Witkoff and Jared Kushner are making money off of this, where they're building like a futuristic tech AI type city on top of the skulls of innocent men, women, and children, the mass graves of people murdered in Gaza. And now they're making, let's build a casino, let's build a fucking hotel, let's have biometric screening where we...
Oh my God, another casino. Oh, sorry, I thought my microphone wasn't on. Yeah, I mean, when I got back to the States in 2009, in DC, imagine, I thought I was just going to come here, tell all of these nonprofits, the human rights people. I mean, Washington is filled with people who believe in democracy, human rights, nonprofits, women's rights, nonprofits. I mean, this town is just overflowing with people defending your rights. So, of course, I'm going to come here and they're just going to be like, oh, my Lord, this is horrible. We must fix the problems in the courts. Now, when I get the other victims, they laugh at me and they say, welcome to the club. And I get smile fucked by government officials. I heard that one on Joe Rogan. I loved it. I was like, yep, that's what they do to you. You go to a government agency and they smile fuck you. Now, if you're that's if you're a constituent. Now, a taxpayer. Now, if you're a donor, an oligarch donor, oh, they'll kiss your ass like you can't believe. Huh? You'd think that you had fallen into the wonderland of Alice and faced with the Queen of Hearts. Anyway, yeah, so...
surveil everybody. Kick all the Palestinians out, any of them that are left, go in a fucking camp where we re-educate them. Jesus Christ, man. This is like we're living in hell. This is some dystopian shit. That's where we are.
Yeah.
So all of them got to go down. They're all criminals. They all need to be arrested. They all need to be locked up. People who don't realize that are not fucking paying attention. Wakey, wakey. Wakey, wakey. The demons are running the show. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out.
Yeah, okay. Well, why can't I get out of the podcasters? Why can't I get any support? I mean... You look at my YouTube channel. Oh, she has nobody likes her. She has no followers. She has nobody looking at her videos. Well, I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to inform people. And I know, everybody is networking, to try and build their networks and all. I'm like, holy shit. That one of the reasons why I came up with Global Expats was because I needed not just to provide for my family because my ex-husband had destroyed his career, but I know people from Cobham, from Foxcroft, and then as well from all of my travels and just my life, I know a lot of people around the world. And, there's nothing wrong with using your contacts for commercial gain as long as you are not exploiting people while you're doing it. And one of the things that made me come up with the money-making portion of global expats was because I really like artisan products, artwork, fashion. I mean, that side of me is, I think like a man, but I like to dress like a woman. But I don't have any kind of like gender dysphoria shit. No, I'm not a cackling hen. But I was born in a woman's body, and I do like to put on the makeup. Just keep those frickin' 4-inch high-heeled shoes away from me. I'm like, you people, what are you doing? This is like Chinese foot binding. How are you liberating women like that? That was my first, like epiphany of what is going on with you feminists. How are sticking women in 4-inch stiletto heel shoes liberating women? This has got to stop. That's just got to stop. Um, no more whores and no more wars. That's got to be our new motto. So, well, see, this is the thing. Well, we've got all of this corruption war going on. We got what we really.
There's a reason why she has not brought any experts onto her show. She has not.
This is the response. This is what our podcasters are getting all fired up about.
Anybody with any real letters behind their name, anybody that is an expert and these could be people, again, that completely agree with her side of the narrative. You can pretty much find an expert these days to go either way on things, right? At the end of the day.
That's for sure. It's the only thing that makes any kind of sense coming out of the mouth of this girl or Gary Melton. I mean, Gary Melton is one of these things that I'm like, holy shit, I gotta watch this guy again. But I'm like, oh, could some SNL, like, some Hollywood writer please come in and help me, and we'll do it like, this guy's great. He really has gone off the rails against Candace. However, he's even admitted that he's a gun for hire. He's out there to make damage, to assure damage control, and that if anybody gets out of line, like Candace is doing, he's there to attack her. But at the same time, what you got to consider in these Machiavellian game plans of the podcasters, like who's on which side, because there's a lot of like gaslighting going on here, lots and lots and lots of it. I mean, as I say, I'm watching this kind of from an anthropological examination, and all of this is going to be submitted to the courts. I mean, this is going to be used as proof. We do have a filing with the International Criminal Courts under crimes against humanity. We just don't have any public or political support for it. And then I have all sorts of cases prepared. Take your pick. Take your pick. Convention of Elimination of Discrimination of Women. We can go there. We can go to the ICC. I kind of prefer the ICC. But I'm like, when you guys finally wake up, pick and choose, because I got them argued all over the place. But anyway, instead of moving forward and going through the courts, because we don't go through the courts and do this in a civilized manner, then it will end up in wars and conflicts. This is what I've been telling everybody for 20 years. And I have been telling all of the ladies and gentlemen in my networks, I didn't bring my 2 sons into this world to be used as cannon fodder. Now, I am the first one to support, that was Valhalla last night. He says, you want war? Let's send Baron Trump. All of you guys who want war, let's send you our children. Tucker Carlson, all your kids, your daughters as well. All you people who have wanted women rights. Oh, okay. Now we got it, you guys. All of these little girls want the same rights of men. Take off your stiletto high heels, little ladies, and get over there and get in the trenches and go and kill. I remember in one movie, they said some guy who was talking about war. He said, "It's not the dying that's hard; it's the killing." I mean, I don't know if I could kill another person. I mean, if my children were threatened, oh, believe me, in Colombia, I was like, oh, somebody tries to come and take my kids, I'll run them over with a car. You can be sure. Um, so anyway, instead, we got this going on.
She will not bring anybody that has any verifiable anything behind their name, any credibility at all, because she knows that it would obliterate her entire, it would all crumble immediately.
What does she need to bring experts out? Like, this is the whole thing. She's doing now. Sometimes she is off her mark on the facts, but so are other people. I've been looking at one of the critics of Candace, and that her parents weren't divorced until Candace was 30 years old, and it's one of these Gary Melton experts that he brought on. And here's the divorce decree to prove it. I looked at it. I'm like, wait a second, this isn't even the same name as her mother. It's not the same people. You're pulling out a divorce decree like you jackass. So everybody is pulling out fake news and fake evidence. But what is all this? We need an expert to come and tell us we're too stupid. We're too stupid to understand anything. So we need an expert to come and explain it to us. Oh yeah. Bullshit. Fuck y'all.
Immediately. So, I mean, that would challenge. She does not want to be challenged. She's made it very clear that she does not want to be challenged, and
That's
she's
true.
not allowing access for her to be challenged. She will put up roadblocks to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been challenging Candace. I've been like, oh, Candace, we've been working on the same things. The feminists, they're out of control. Can we like work together? My father said to me, oh God, he passed away during COVID at the beginning. Um, Years ago, he said, you need alliances. I said, I know, Dad. I mean, he was talk about sleeping with the enemy. Remember that movie with Julia Roberts? Sleeping with the enemy. Well, it happens to the men as well. Okay? So this is where my big divide is, and I will not sit there and say all men are evil and all women are good, because it's simply not true. And that's what the feminists want. And even the anti-feminists, all the women.
That she is not challenged, and that is intentional.
All right, if you enjoyed that content, make sure you hit the like button. And
Well, I certainly didn't enjoy it. But oh, this man. I keep on saying, just put him in a, British officer's uniform of 1776. And then we've got our enemy. He fits right in. Valhalla is the Viking king, and Gary Melton is a British officer of 1776. Oh Lord, you see our little economy that we got going on here. Yeah. So and while we have Gary Melton suffering a breakdown, we've got Pierce Morgan who's digging his hole, and everybody else. Oh, and Andrew Lowney. God, I looked into him and his family. Yeah, so anyway, this gets into colluding in the overthrow of the British monarchy. And if you want to see the background on that, check out my videos on, yeah, that's Cobham Hall. So that's going to be Deep State number 9 and 10. Because the thing is we've got to get rid of our aristocracy and elitism. That's not the principles that the United States were founded on. So, and I don't believe in those. I do believe in egalitarian principles of, give everybody an even, how shall I say, an even break, good education, access to things that will allow them to develop themselves and the gifts, the God-given gifts that they were given. by God. God-given gifts. Of course, they were given by God. But anyway, that's the idea. Instead, they've got these educational systems that are trying to destroy the kids' minds. Either they're trying to turn them into robots, or they're trying to turn them into these kids who have these delusions of grandeur. I mean, I'm kind of seeing that with Candace. Even Trigger Smart, he said he was in these uh, in the public education system where they had, oh, you're like above average smart, because I mean, this is not like testing for brilliance. This, oh, you're above average smart. Okay, well, that does encompass a lot of people. We have genius is 2 to 4%. Um, you know, so it's like taking these kids who, okay, you're not stupid, but you're not brilliant, and telling them, oh, you're going to do great things. And like, this is the problem we have with Erica. Then you give them a whole bunch of money and we need the experts. Everybody else is so stupid. Oh, but if you got a diploma, you're smart and you can tell people what to do. See how this all works? So anyway, as I say, I am, gosh, how do I say this? Because at the same time, not for elitism, but we have seen time and time again when the monarchs, fell, the nouveau riche came in, and you had squabbling and all of the different factions. And this has nothing to do with race or religion. It has to do with Homo sapiens and what we do. So you see it time and time again. So this is where the monarchy and lords and ladies and things that are related to heredity, and you have more a sense of your family. I mean, that's for me. My father instilled that in me when he died. I mean, I promised him that the values and the principles that the Wilcox family and the Dickinson family and the Paul family have stood for throughout history will not die with him, because with the rest of the family it certainly died. Oh Lord, I'm ashamed of everybody in my family. Anyway, see, I mean, if everybody I knew were liking, subscribe on my platform, they could, oh, the money these people have, they're throwing away millions and millions all over the place. Yet I can't even get a subscriber with $5. And I mean, I've asked them, would you invest in global expats? It will make a lot of money because the social media platform and promoting women's rights within the home and family is based on advertising model, and homemakers spend a shitload of money and it'll be really good. From the beginning I said, oh God, this thing will make billions and billions. That's when my ex flipped out. Microsoft was interested in it and he flipped out. um so anyway, the people who are colluding, for example, Piers Morgan, Andrew Lowney, and really all of the mainstream media in the UK to bring down the British monarchy, because they want to party hardy and have nobody who's watching what they're doing. They are looking at treason. Just like in the United States, those colluding to bring down
Yes,
the U.S. Constitution are guilty of treason under the Enemy Alien Act. I've been building those cases for a long time. Let's get everybody into court. As I say, at this point, we need whatever you want to call it, grand jury trial, Nuremberg 2 trial. I don't care what you all call things. Just let's get it done.
I've always said the monarchy are only there for as long as the people want them to be there.
Yep.
And the latest poll shows that only 51% of the United Kingdom support the monarchy. That's pretty low.
Now, statistics and polls and stuff like that, you always have to take with a grain of salt, because it depends Okay, who did the poll? What did y'all look at? One of the things that I learned at Stats 101 in college, same kind of worms with accounting 101 in college. First, definitely not something that I am going to do as a profession. But okay, thank you very much. I do need to understand the basics and able to understand that, oh my goodness, you people can turn around and churn out your numbers to make it look like anything you want. So I better really be hyper vigilant here. Stats, statisticians, and accountants, just like lawyers, could do great good and great bad.
Low. We've never been as low as that. But you know that Andrew was obnoxious, entitled, spoiled, greedy, and
I mean, these things, obnoxious, entitled, spoiled, greedy, really, quite frankly, I wish, first off, do you know this person? And if you do, what's your relationship with him? I don't know him. But from sitting where I am, this guy, first, the love of his life when he was young, this Hollywood actress, she was risque and she had been seen with, I mean, it wasn't even X-rated, it was R-rated movies. Some nudity. So, oh no, 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 that will not do. That will not do. Even though they got a sugar baby for Prince Charles that was chosen by Lord Mountbatten. So he doesn't marry her. He goes and he serves in the Navy, in the military. Then he marries a woman that everybody finds acceptable. He's not the one who cheats on her. She's the one who cheats on him. And by the way, apparently it was Princess Diana who started cheating on Prince Charles before he did with Camilla. And apparently she was sleeping around. He just went and got his one mistress. So, in the whole mistress thing, it's like, God, you people, look at who your politicians are getting in bed with instead of in their commercial and political activity instead of their personal lives. Which, quite frankly, would y'all please? My God, I can't keep up with who's sleeping with who. I remember particularly in Bogota, people would tell me, I'm like, yeah, I know, I don't give a shit. I don't want to hear it. That was particularly with Astrid, uh, Astrid Betancourt, the sister of Ingrid Betancourt, and Ambassador Parfait, Daniel Parfait, and his wife, and that little menage a trois. Yeah, so, God, would you guys please? Yeah, I want to see all of the ambassadors in court explaining we got human trafficking all over the place, and you guys are playing war games. Fuck y'all.
he thought was untouchable. And until this time, all the members of the royal family have been untouchable. So what we do need is, of course, transparency.
Oh, remember, ever since they've been untouchable, give me a break.
And we do need to see more. Yes, well, I've always said.
So, treason. I'm like, you guys, because the UK has as many problems as the United States, and for the same reason. We have the same, we have a shared history. And I'm talking about the socioeconomic problems that destroy our families, that we've got to face. And that is these abusive, what Brianne Eisler, she was a Holocaust survivor, calls power over relationships. So, yeah, Candace is going strong with the bride of Charlie.
All right, you guys, happy Monday. It's looking like war with Iran. Ladies and gentlemen, war with Iran. I don't know how many Goya must die for the Khazarian Empire to be reinstalled, but can I just say that they really did a good job gaslighting us last year, didn't they? They just lied. It's amazing how they lie. You guys are panicins. That's what they called us, panicins. After Operation Midnight Hammer, which was Trump agreeing on a limited strike on Iran's nuclear sites. We told you the truth back then. They wanted a full-scale war. That's what Bibi wanted. That's what the Zionists around Trump wanted. And the one person who stood between America's involvement with a full-scale war in Iran was Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is at the White House, and he convinced Trump that it was a terrible idea that would crater his support and ruin his legacy. Bibi and his minions, they were angry about that. Charlie Kirk, 31-year-old, he's the person that's stopping us from getting what we want. It is my personal belief that that is the very reason that they colluded to have that obstacle eventually removed just months later. That's what my timeline reveals to me, that it is very likely a plan was set in motion after Charlie beat Bibi's desires at the White House. Now, I believe on the basis of evidence that Charlie's murder was likely a very sophisticated military operation that was meant, and here's the funny part, this is how insane these people are, ironically, they wanted his murder to galvanize American support behind Israel. That was their plan. That's why Bibi immediately got on the air to remind you all how much he loved Israel, right? They wanted to all get out there and say that because they didn't want us to learn that Charlie had actually abandoned their cause entirely. So Charlie was removed, and in his place, we got a Shabbat Shalomin, not so grieving widow. This is the book my Charlie wanted you to read. He just finished it. He loves the Jews. He just finished speaking about how much he loves to Shabbat and to Shalom and to say Daddy's home and to throw down his phone, Barry Weiss. It's just incredible when you think about it all coming together. Who are you, Erica Kirk? I seek to know. Welcome back to Bride of Charlie.
We have nothing to hide.
I'm going to be honest. There are some words that I want to echo out like a battle cry. Here they are.
President Donald Trump has said, I will not allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon because he has said when crazy people have weapons of unthinkable violence, you have to deal in reality. The longer I live, the more I realize that puritanical, ideological approaches to situations like this are not helpful.
Okay, puritanical, he's misusing the word. I do believe there. I debate him on it, but we'll go on.
On one side is the Lindsey Graham, John Bolton types, where they are actively calling for regime change. Here is Lindsey Graham. This is just lunacy. We want to go all in and take out the regime. It's time for us to close the chapter on the Iranian Ayatollah and his henchmen and start a new chapter in the Middle East. And that sounds good, doesn't it? But what have we learned when it comes to wars, and especially wars in the Middle East? What you draw up on a whiteboard rarely happens. What you think theoretically is going to occur.
Yeah, see, this is one of the problems of putting nouveau riche into power, or young, concentrating power and wealth into the hands of the young, like has been done in the most recent decades. It's getting worse and worse. And this is why it's like J.D. Vance, I mean, this guy, he came from nothing and he was put vice president and he's floated as president. 50 years ago, you would have been laughed out of this city. But now it's like, oh yeah, that's fine. And because you just, let's see, I think there was about just over 1 million people, if I remember my numbers correctly, 1 million people in 1950 in Washington, and now we're over 6 million. This is the metro area. This includes Baltimore, because, you have the underground, the metro system, you have all of the infrastructure that has been, added to, and so there's this huge metropolis, whereas Washington was built in order to house federal government officials that would serve the American people, and not as this military industrial complex of a thriving GDP that, I mean, you just go on to the DC website, all they talk about is increasing hospitality revenues, all of these industries, and how these are thriving industries and how they're growing and booming and great opportunity. Where's all that money coming from? See, these kids And all of the podcasters, they're just following the piper. Do, 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 do. While Washington takes everybody for a ride.
Occur, there might be unintended and unforeseen consequences, especially when you're talking about a country 2.5 times the size of Texas. It has 90 million people and was an ancient and great power with well over a dozen ethnic groups. Who's going to run the country exactly, Lindsey Graham? This sounds like Hillary Rodham Clinton in Libya. So I'm pointing to the first extreme right now, the neoconservative extreme. We must go take off the head of the snake right now. And Donald Trump is doing a phenomenal job of resisting these calls for regime change. Yeah, the Ayatollah is awful, but maybe he's one of the few guys that can keep that country together and not have a 90 million person civil war. Lindsey Graham is so consistently out of his mind, it's hard to even comprehend. I honestly don't think the neoconservative extreme needs to be represented philosophically anymore. It's uninteresting to me. They've done a mess of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, the entire Middle East, Ukraine. We know what the neoconservatives believe.
Oh, Charlie, if only you knew that they're trying to convince us that the legacy of Turning Point USA is actually neocons. Neocons will be opening for AmFest. People that want war, people who are cheering about regime change in Iran today are the very people that your wife is going to hand over the keys to. Trying to convince us that that wasn't your perspective, that you didn't have issues with these people philosophically and morally, right? Moral blackmail, what these people were doing to you in the end. By the way, have we heard anything from that new CEO and chairman of Turning Point USA? Any statement over the weekend underscoring what Charlie's beliefs were? She loved Charlie, which, like I said, explains why she must have invited all of his enemies to sort of hostilely take over what he built. These people are shameless. So shameless, in fact, that over the weekend, his quote-unquote best friends, despite us being able to clearly hear what Charlie felt about Iran, about the idea of regime change in Iran, his best friends, the amazing McCoy and, of course, wargaming Blake Neff, actually got into his studio and shared this. Take a listen.
He also always did have trust with the president, and he would look for the bright side of things. And he was an American patriot, so he would pray for our success once that began. And I just want to say that to offer perspective on how I think he would have felt about this. And that's not to use Charlie as a shield. That is not to use, say, everything just revolves around him because he's not with us anymore. But I know people, all of us are feeling the lack of Charlie in a moment like this because he was a natural leader of the movement.
Well, I think that's also, like, as soon as all this broke out, you saw that social media immediately went to go find Charlie clips because he still is, even in death, like the leading voice on a matter like this.
Well, and sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and it makes me upset though, because for these people that didn't actually know Charlie, like you said, in private, he would be not happy with the situation, and he would express his thoughts. You would oftentimes see him talk about it on the show, but then as soon as this would happen, he would have trust in the president. He would try to calm people down, and so it's really irritating for me to see so many people on social media have the opposite reaction, to use his voice to actually cause chaos, to actually cause fear of the situation, to actually cause hatred of President Trump in this whole ordeal, when actually that's not what he would want.
It really is just amazing to watch it. It's just shameless, like I said. It's just shameless. They don't even care. They're going to get there. They've got the ghost of Charlie. Aha, we can direct the ghost of Charlie. Why are you sharing these old clips of him as if he would have stood against the president? Even though
Yeah, the thing is I was watching, God, why does that do that? I was watching Tucker Carlson, and he was like, well, the thing is if we don't do what the Israelis say, then they're going to use their nukes. So we don't want to do that. So we're kind of like on the thumb of the Israelis. Well, then you get involved with regime change? Just saying. Not making any overt suggestions there. But what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Yeah, just saying.
even though he literally stood against the president and told him not to go to war with Iran, trust me, if he would have been here, he would have been supportive of what the president is doing, which was explicitly against what Charlie shared in his own words. Shameless. Like Erica, having been slated to record something alongside Bibi Netanyahu and Ben Shapiro. No one even believed me. I tweeted that about a month ago. They were slated to record something ahead of the Super Bowl. I don't know if it was for the Super Bowl, but it was just ahead of the Super Bowl at Mar-a-Lago. And last second, whatever they were going to record got canceled in the umpteenth hour. She was teaming up with Ben Shapiro and Bibi Netanyahu. And then maybe somebody was like, hey, this isn't a good idea. Because she loved Charlie. She loved him like Lyndon Baines Johnson loved JFK. No time to grieve. She needed to be sworn in as the new leader before his body was even cold. In case case you didn't notice, LBJ was actually a crypto Jew, as they term it, a Jewish gangster.
Oh,
Crypto Jew, to be sure.
scumbag.
More on that later.
But see, Erica Kirk's reaction is no different than Ethel Kennedy and Jackie O. Sorry. So, like, this is not just Erica Kirk's reaction is not just like, oh my God, how horrible. It's like, oh my God, this has been going on for a long time. All of our bimbos are like this. They're all a bunch of gold digging whores who get their money meal ticket husbands after he's no longer useful. Either we take him out or somebody else does, and we're good. Good. Just move on. This is America the Great.
We'll talk more about that later. But first, let's recap what some of these characters that we've been introducing to you on Bride of Charlie, let's recap them because it's good to remind ourselves of all of the people that are in this very elaborate story. First and foremost, we introduced to you guys last week, Dr. Jerry Franzway. She's like Dr. Jerry Franzway-Steen is what I'm going to call her. That is the first wife of Erica's father, Kent Franzway. By the way, I then learned that they were married. I don't even know if I'm saying this right. Baha'i temple in Chicago. That is where they were married. Just dropping that little tidbit for you guys. Dr.
Sorry,
Jerry.
my thing has gotten. Sometimes it does that. Oh,
characters that we've been introducing to you on Bride of Charlie. Let's recap them because it's good to remind ourselves of all of the people that are in this very elaborate story. First and foremost, we introduced to you guys last week, Dr. Jerry Franzway. She's like Dr. Jerry Franzway-Steen is what I'm going to call her. That is the first wife of Erica's father, Kent Franzway. By the way, I then learned that they were married. I don't even know if I'm saying this right. Baha'i temple in Chicago. That is where they were married. Just dropping that little tidbit.
Okay, so, people can watch. This is kind of my point. I'm like, wait a second. We're at war, and yeah, I get it. Like, there's all of these actors. In fact, I'm going to go over that. We'll look at both the, this is the Franzway family that I've been looking at, as I keep on saying. Anybody's more than welcome to come in and, look at this tree or any of the other trees that I have. I don't know if this would show. Let's see, here's my trees. I've got all sorts of trees that I'm working on. Some of them are just starting. If you go in there, you can see. But I'd be more than happy to have some help. Unfortunately, I don't have the money. I'm barely keeping a roof over my head because everybody wants to shut me up. And I mean, not only can I not get a social media platform, my husband tries to kill me and I have to run for my life. My children I have to leave behind. I mean, it was the hardest thing to do. But a woman in Spain who didn't know me, my neighbors, my little neighbors, one of them who's a podcaster journalist in Marbella with the British community there, who's been ignoring me all of these years, and she's like complaining, oh, you wouldn't believe it with the British, the Spanish government, they go in and take our money from our account. I'm like, excuse me, I've been challenging them for 20 years and you're ignoring me. And she's like, oh, she even sent me a message. Oh, we're more numerous than you. Yeah, well, okay, you got more voices out there, but it's all bullshit. And you're all colluding in cover-ups of criminal people. Jeffrey Epstein files. I'm like, I've been talking to y'all for about that for 20 years. And you're just like, shut up, stupid. And you fire me. You represent white privilege. You're being offered up as a sacrifice to atone for all of the white privilege sins. I keep on saying, fuck you. Sacrifice yourselves. Yeah, damn assholes. Anyway, so there you have the France v. File, France v. Family. You can look at them, but yeah, so well, we go to another war. This is what everybody's focusing on here. And let's just look at again. I love Gary.
What I've never heard from Candace, I've heard bits and pieces that, like, who actually shot Charlie if it wasn't the person on the roof? Are we going with the exploding mic, the palm gun? Both of those keep resurfacing. I just saw somebody, a fairly big account, pushing the palm gun theory again. It was Dances with Wolves and Finances. He's pushing that. And then we have her other surrogate, Baron Coleman, who's pushing the exploding mic theory, which I'll just be honest with you, I think it's the most ridiculous, dumb, and defies physics, period. All right. We can get into that, and I probably need to do a more in-depth debunking of that. And the other thing I want to get on is an explosive expert. I've worked with explosives my whole career in special operations. I can tell you what we saw there was an explosion.
We're really fixated on the one shot of Charlie Kirk. We're forgetting about all of the explosions that are going on in the Middle East right now.
And the other thing I just recently thought of, and I know I'm getting off track a little bit with my squirrel brain.
Yeah.
One of the things that we don't have, that no one's brought up that I've seen so far, is we don't have a sound signature that would indicate the source of a sound coming from Charlie himself. That is one thing that is not recorded or mentioned or discussed, and we would have a sound signature. Obviously, if we had something exploding underneath his shirt, it would leave burn marks. It would leave.
See, this is what's pissing me off with these podcasters. They're all just like cackling hens, socialite cackling hens. You have to understand, these guys are doing the same job as the Capote Swans socialites, as the robber baron heiresses socialites of the Gilded Age. Back in the day, I mean, this was how shall I say, the upper crust gentleman who had great lands, the Lord, who didn't sully himself either with manual labor nor with commercial endeavors. And, his family was above that, and his inheritance paid for him to be a man of leisure. And he would set the example, just like the ladies in the same situation would set the example for the rest of society. Well, look at the example that all of these social media podcasters are setting for the rest of society. I know they're following Cornelia Guest and Wallace Simpson and, take your pick. Kim Kardashian, J-Lo, they're all doing it. I'm going to be popular. I'm going to have lots of followers. I'm going to have my ladies in waiting. But I'm not going to pay any attention to what everybody else is saying. No, the job of a socialite is knowing what everybody, and that's the same as a queen, knowing what everybody is doing and saying and making sense of it all.
Radial debris. Anyways, so there's that. But the point here is we've yet to see an alternative explanation.
And these guys are not making sense of anything. They're just cacophony.
To explain what's going on with the Charlie Kirk assassination. If Tyler Robinson didn't kill them, who did? And how did they do it? And then give me some evidence that supports all the above. What's your thoughts on that, Dana?
I think that, regardless of what questions, because I haven't followed it closely, but if I'm...
I haven't followed it closely, but let me tell you what I think. If I haven't followed something closely, I'm going to be like, I really don't have enough information about that subject to give you an opinion. Maybe if you give me a little background, I could tell you what I think, but I don't know. But let me tell you what I think anyway.
If I'm saying that I'm out here trying to vindicate my deceased friend, I'm going to be working night and day to exonerate the person that I think is falsely accused with evidence, facts, something. It's why aren't you focusing on what's going on within the walls of the courthouse, going on with, these motions that are being filed. I saw that you had Andrea Burkhart on, and I really liked the cut of her jib. I think that she's really intelligent and she's pretty objective.
Well, I mean, the thing is if you go, and I agree that there should be more focus, definitely more focus on, wait a sec, what's going on in the courtroom there? Why aren't you doing this? However, Candace has not taken, that's more the role that Baron Coleman has taken, although not enough, is just scratching the surface, but that's not the role that Candace has chosen. And who is she or anybody else to say, well, that's not the role Candace should take on? Candace is, I mean, the investigative process of, it's just like you don't want your detective who's out there in the field trying to figure out who killed this person or who committed the crime to be in the courthouse all day second guessing what's going on in the proceedings. He's not going to have time to be out there investigating the crime. Idiots.
Yeah, she's really objective, and which is hard, especially coming from a female, where she's just like, okay, here are the options and here's what I think is
she's objective, hard coming from a female. Little lady might look in the mirror, because actually Candace, for a female, she is relatively objective. I think she's still young and little overinflated ego, but relatively speaking, that's where professionalism comes in. It's not how you look. That was the 1950s. Oh, just look the part and you're good. Then we got people with tattoos and green hair and all that shit. And I'm like, well, I don't care, but do they know what the fuck they're doing? Back in the day in the 1950s, you bring somebody like that and be like, okay, well, do they know what the fuck they're doing? Okay, well, okay. If they know what the fuck they're doing, then we'll put up with it. Nowadays, it's like, really, we would put up with it in the 50s. You bring that shit in because it was like, okay, But now, you pulled that bullshit too many times. Even the ones with the green hair don't know what the fuck they're doing. So,
most likely, but we don't know. And it's, why aren't they using their huge platforms, these friends, with friends like that, who needs enemies, to sort of root this out if that's really what you're after? I think that they're taking everybody on a ride, and I believe that they're going to continue to take everybody on a ride because it's
everybody's been taken.
It's a way to make money, and it's easy to sit here and go on this sort of morality campaign. But Erica talks out of two, or not Erica, not Charlie. See, I'm getting tired now. Candace talks out of two sides of her mouth because I'm just asking questions. But then if you clap back at her, she's
oh my god, that is something that cracks me up. All of these guys. So this is one of the ways that you can tell that you're being gaslit by a podcaster. They will always start out by telling you that they're not telling you what to believe, what to think, that they want you to look at the evidence, look at your own facts, make your own decisions, they'll give you a whole spiel on that. And then they'll flip and attack anybody they disagree with. They'll personally attack them. They won't attack the ideas or their evidence. They'll attack. It'll be a personal attack to discredit the person. This is gaslighting, Freudian gaslighting 101. And see, Candace, she exposes that with her coverage, her book club and her reviews there, and it is good. We'll see that. We're going to get to that in these slides. Hopefully I have the time. But again, she doesn't know how this translates into reality and what she's living. And I mean, quite frankly, she also has been, she is one of these snot-nosed brats who's been, her head has been filled with delusions of grandeur. And same can of worms with her husband, frat boy. He went to one of these frat house schools in England. So come on.
Demon, and she's under attack, and it's like some of us out here don't trust any of you.
Yeah.
We think
Yeah.
the whole thing is shady,
I
and
agree.
we're just looking at it objectively. And I'm
Nobody's
sorry,
looking
like,
at it objectively.
I'm not going to give Candace weight on anything when I've just shown you guys. And somebody asked a fair question in the chat. Did you find a marriage record, or was it a common law marriage? I have the marriage record of when Candace's parents got married. I know when they got married. I have it. Okay. This isn't me pulling stuff out of whole cloth. I really tried to go through this with a fine tooth comb because I knew that it was going to be unpopular. I'm just bringing it here now, thanks to you.
Okay. So let's see. Marriage record. I think you're still sharing. Yeah. Okay. 1993. Sorry. Oh, sorry, I'm on the Franz V. Okay, Owens. Okay, so her parents. Okay, I don't have, we'll put that in there, but that it is very possible this would, that, yeah, see, 89, see, yeah, this would, confirm what the, sorry, otherwise I'll just gonna put that in real quick. 1993. What did she say? November 3. So, but that would confirm what the cousin was saying, that afterwards Candace took on the Owens name so that her mother wasn't married when she had, the children, and that they later got married. I mean, that, this is not, as I say, we're not living in 1950. That would have been, oh Lord, it's like the thing with Erica Kirk and her 8 months. I mean, it was kind of 8 months, but then 6 months. Out of those 8 months, there was the 6 months where the only person that she saw was the pastor's wife. Oh, I'm sorry. That smells to me like she was pregnant. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was like, okay, I don't need the rabbit dye test to get that one. However, but what I'm saying about this is, oh, you all are spying on Ken. No, I'm sorry. This is, you live in a community and there are issues that come. This is where your right to privacy ends and the community's right to investigate what's going on begins. So, that's not here or there. But however, okay, so they're married. But as I say, this girl brought out some divorce decree of Robert Owens, effectively in Tempe, Arizona, and then another woman with another name, I think Evelyn or something, in Stamford, Connecticut. But they went that those were not Candace's parents. It's the wrong. It's not like a fake divorce decree. It's the wrong one. Don't even check her freaking facts.
3 months later, because it, they tried to, report my channel and get the videos removed, and people refuting me with Grok, even though Grok ended up agreeing with me in a backhanded way.
Yeah, because Grok takes the information that see, this is the problem. Grok doesn't verify or investigate what people are saying online. It just regurgitates it.
That it was Candace's grandfather's company that did the security contracts. And I'm like, no, don't do that. But this is a name game, the robots playing into the name game.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to act like Candace does, where I focus on this little piece of time that in the grand scheme of things isn't changing.
Focus on, no, this is verifying facts. If you don't have all of your facts correct, you can't see the proper big picture. This is like somebody taking a puzzle and clipping at the pieces of the puzzle to make it fit into the hole, and then saying, oh, look, we finished the puzzle. Well, your puzzle, it makes no sense. It makes no picture.
Anything, but I'm gonna pretend that this missing piece of time that I know I can't prove that holds the answers to where we're at now. I think it just shows the level of disingenuousness that she's operating from. No one that cares about what happened to their friend, and the fact that their very young friend, because Charlie was younger than me, I consider him a kid. It's like, God, I was a mess when I was 31. He was rubbing shoulders with some of them.
She was a mess at 31. Okay. Well, so what are you giving us your opinion on now? By 31, I had gotten my shit together, lady. I mean, I can say, okay, by the time I was 20, I was, 20, 21, 22, I was a mess because I had come to Washington, at 17. I want to serve the American government. I didn't know what job I wanted to do, but I knew basically I wanted to serve, be a civil servant, thought more of the international arena. And then I got here and I was just like, oh my God, these people are horrible. So yeah, I was a mess. As I say, in my early 20s, I was a princess with a P. But I got my shit together. I got out of it. I left. I packed my bags. Everybody's like, you're making so much money. I was there for the 87 collapse. And yeah, hell, I'd be a wealthy, wealthy woman if I had stayed around. I would have been miserable. I would have been the biggest bitch this town or this country has seen. I got out of it. And by 31, I'm having a family and kids, and I am happy, a happy homemaker. I mean, it's like these assholes, if they were sincere, they would be sticking me up on a podium talking about the wonderful life as a trad wife. I mean, to Candace's credit, she said that she was on her way to becoming the next Oprah Winfrey when she criticized Black Lives Matter. Now, for this, I give credit where credit is due. But let's take a deeper dive into.
So it happens. It happens. So let me ask you. In your.
Where are we? Yeah. Here.
If I don't like the type of.
Okay, so this is Candace Owens' cousin. Now, this is her mother. Where's Candace? Here's Candace. Now, her mother. So this would be, I think, the Nesta Rose. See, this is Candace's mother's sister, daughter. So I don't know what the name of her mother is. She says Rose. That would have been Candace's mother's maiden name. As I say, it looks like they were married in 1993 after Candace was born. I'm not positive. We have here her siblings. I forget, but I think Candace was the third. So, as I say, I mean, like in France, that like was not even any big deal. Yeah, they're not married, but they live together. They have kids. I mean, it just 1990s. This is not, as I say, 1950s. So why that would be some dark secret. Now, I think the problem, actually, let's go through all of this. So this is basically the interview.
To say you either like her or you hate her. Okay. And I still don't even really understand the hate, because if I don't like the type of content somebody makes, I'm just going to turn the channel.
Right.
That's me. But tell the people who you are and who you're related to.
Okay. Well, my name is Nesta Rose, and I'm the first cousin of Candace Owens.
First cousin of Candace Owens, political commentator. Now look, people, even when I was contacted, I was like, you're not no cousin of Candace Owens, and then you showed me the proof.
Yeah, first cousins, yep. Our moms are sisters.
Yeah, y'all moms are sisters. And you said that actually she has you said her dad's last name and not y'all last name. How did that work?
Yeah. Candace got her dad last name. We all was born with the same last name, but kind of when we went, like, I think heading towards like teenage years, she got her last name switched to her pop's last name. So that's how that went. That's how she became Owens. So.
How she became Owens. And you know what's funny? When you search Candace Owens, like on Google or anything.
As I say, this would be explained because her parents didn't, I mean, I don't know, like, well, apparently they did get married, and after they got married is kind of when it went south and they started towards the divorce. So we would have to see when exactly the divorce decree was. I'm not sure when that is. So that's a missing piece. But, these are not like, you need all of the pieces of the puzzle to figure out what's going on. And some of them, it's like, okay, fine. That's not how shall I say, it's not a mind-blowing piece of information, but it helps me with the timeline and figure out what's going on.
Really nothing about her family comes up. Like, we know she's married, she has 2 kids now, but like her cousins, aunties, uncles, grandmama, grandpa, we have no idea.
It's kind of
Candace's husband, it's the same thing. Go real quick on that one. Where's her husband? Oh, he's over here. I mean, for his father, I've been finding some really interesting information. Now, I knew about his George's grandfather, David Farmer. He was a metals trader, and he went bust, and he left the family in destitution. Like, this reminds me of my husband's story. And then his father grows up in poverty with dead father who died from alcohol, and an alcoholic mother, in poverty and neglect, abuse, and becomes a metal trader as well. George is a metal trader. So this gets into the boom and bust economies. Excuse me, Candace, this is precisely, he's a lord. This is what's destroying the British economy and society as much. So you're dropping the ball as an American on American soil, and your husband's dropping the ball on UK soil, because you all, believe it or not, are part of the ruling elite now. Even if Michael Farmer was born into poverty, and Candace, we'll see. I think Candace has had a falling out with her family. One of the reasons, particularly I think her mother, is that she's painted this picture of her being from a poor Black family, and that was politically correct. And that's, again, where she's pulling the same thing of Erica Kirk, where, you got your talking points, and they tell you, you're not lying, you're just embellishing the truth. I'm like, you're getting so embellished but these are lies. I'm like, I don't need to embellish the truth. In my case, I'm like, people don't believe me when I tell them the truth. I have to bring it down a notch for them to even like get into the realm of believability. So yeah, and this is the unpleasantness. And then when I go to the ruling elite saying, Houston, we got a present problem. Oh, we don't want to be involved in any unpleasantness. That's even Bobby Kennedy's campaign. I got that from them. So yeah, this is the mystery. George's mother and her side, as mysterious. I mean, I'm getting some more information now. I do have, a last name to go by. But again, the mother's like total mystery, total mystery. So, same thing. This is Erica her family's being criticized for that. But I'm like, wait a second, Candace, what's going on with your family? I mean, I'm not, how should I say it? This is aside from what's going on with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Candace, she had a nonprofit. I guess this was before this nonprofit then merged with TPUSA and became the TPUSA Black, Black rights. It's all about, how shall I say, capturing the vote for the Republican Party. And that's got to stop. This is all manners of, and she was the head of that. She got $250,000 as the head of a nonprofit. So there are also some questions that need to be asked and answered by Candace. Now, why she's ignoring me. I mean, it's like TPUSA is doing the same thing to her that she's doing to me. But none of the podcasters are covering that. And Candace is just one. I got Candace, Erica Kerr. The McCains, Cindy and Meghan McCain. Same story.
Simple. Where we come from, we don't really like the attention. We don't really like the fame. And I think for most of them, 90% of our family, they don't really agree with what she got going on. So they just rather stay away from it. And then, like I said, again, we just really don't like the spotlight, even though we are known, like very, very well known in our community and things like that. It's a different level when it's the internet. You know what I mean? A lot of people, we don't play those games really too much. So we'd rather stay away from it.
I understand that because the internet is very disrespectful. And,
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, even Megyn Kelly says, oh, anybody would give a blowjob to their boss because they wanted to be on TV. Everybody wants to be on TV so bad. I mean, that her family, now looking into her family, really, quite frankly, the people that I'm finding are very respectable. There's, it's not like Erica Kirk's family there. It's like, excuse me. However, her aunt lives in Arizona in I forget, Phoenix. Yeah, I think they're all mainly Phoenix. I think there are some around Tucson. See, what's his face? The ex-policeman, the black ex-policeman. I can't remember his name. He's Brandon Tatum. Who is a partner of Candace. He's Tucson. And I mean, Tucson ruling elite, they've been ignoring me. Now, a lot of that is the fault of my mother and trying to silence me and cover up the fact that not only did she leave her daughter to die, but she was hoping that my husband would kill me. Then she could blackmail him for money. So, of course, she doesn't want me being given a voice because then that would come out and that wouldn't look very good for the family, would it? Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, look, you guys, stop with I got something to hide, Oh, I just don't like being in the limelight. That's bullshit. You got something to hide. I know it. Because that's all you want, is to be in the limelight. But then if somebody comes and shines the limelight on something that you find unpleasant, oh, no, privacy. See, Erica Kirk pulls that same shit. We've seen it time and again. So, yeah, I'm, oops, back to her.
You mess around here, comment, and you be like, you know what? I'm finna pull up because you got me messed up.
Yeah. Nah, you know, it happens. Yeah.
It does. A lot of people want to know, man, does Candace Owens hate black people? Let me just be frank.
No, Candace Owens don't hate black people. Well, I would say with Candace is very much aware.
Does Candace Owens hate black people? I loved that these two black people asked this question, because if a white person asked that, they'd be called a racist. Now, this is something like that also has to come out in the discussion of white replacement and black supremacy. See, Candace, and we'll hear, is what we used to call an Oreo. She was black on the outside, but she's gentrified and she's hanging out with white people and, you know, white on the inside, an Oreo. It wasn't a derogatory word, at least from what I was understanding, how it was used, and what, be like, no, she's an Oreo. They say it wasn't. She's a black person who hangs out with white people. So and there is a black culture and there is a white culture, and to deny that existence is to deny that we have night and day. And so that's, not only do we have to address the issues brought up in White Trash, which is, this is the book White Trash by Nancy Eisenberg, that Americans have come to interpret wealth and privilege to equal class. And that's not what class is. Class is how you treat other people, how you behave, treating others with respect, treating yourself with respect, and being an honorable person. It's not what you possess or who you possess. Whether that be officially on paper in a marriage contract or in a sales slip in slavery, or just handing over money for a person and and adoption papers, or on the black market, that's still going on. So don't tell me slavery is dead. It doesn't matter. As I say, class is about how you behave and how you treat others. Nothing else.
And know that she's black. She, of course, her whole family's black. You know what I mean? So she has been around black people, but as far as on her daily basis, like growing up on a daily basis in her life, she was around more white people. You know what I mean? She grew up in Connecticut, so all her friends was white. All the guys she ever dated. I don't think I ever known Candace to ever date a black dude. Like her sisters, like her sisters that date black dudes, things like that. But Candace, I never seen her with a black dude, and people don't know either. Like, I want to get the record straight, kind of with that too. Our grandfather is, if you look at him, he looked like a white man. With that being said, we have pure white, like, close cousins. So, we're probably more white than anything, to be honest with you. So I just really think she's probably identified.
Wow.
She always, honestly, she's always did identify, in that aspect. So, look, even since we were kids, I remember having.
If you look, of course, there's just like with a lot of white families, they do have some black blood in them, but just like most black family, African-American families in the United States, they're going to have some white blood in them. And it's the same. I mean, I got fired from this woman. She said, oh, yeah, she had some American Indian blood. And I said, oh, well, so do I. What tribe? And she said she was offended. I'm like, oh. I'm like, screw you, bitch. Oh, man, like, whatever.
Conversations, things like that, because I always thought it was kind of weird, she would be a little white girl, you know what I mean, things like that too. Okay. But she always been like that. She not fronting, she not putting on, she literally always been like that. So,
and you know what, I'm actually happy.
See, if a white person said, oh yeah, Candace is like a little white girl, Oh, racism all over the frickin' place. I got fired as well. Another time where I said, I don't understand why you guys use the N word, which is really offensive between yourselves. But then if a white person says it, it's like, you guys say it between yourselves, it's okay. But then a white person says it, it's racist. I'm like, why is that? I got fired. Not because the black men who I was asking the question from, both of them had told me that they had been sexually abused as children. One of them gay, the other was straight. He did work with, like, he was a bus driver, school bus driver, and he said, "Yeah, I want to make sure that nobody's getting around these kids. It happened to me." See, those are the type of men we need in this society. And both of them were middle class. They weren't offended. Those were the ones that I was asking. It was the snot-nosed brat from Connecticut, from not the middle class family of Candace Owens, but from an upper class, wealthy family of Connecticut, who drove around in the car that he went to AU, drove around in the car that his father bought him. I assume, I'm like, what are you doing? Waiting tables so you can pay for gas for your car? And this is like, you're help paying your way through school this way or something? What's going on there? Because I know those guys. And, he's the one who complained and got me fired. I'm like, oh my God, you little snot-nosed brat. You're going to graduate from AU and I'm going to see you in court. Still got a pending lawsuit against them. I would flip this town on its end if I could find a lawyer to start initiating lawsuits. But no, I represent white privilege and been offered up as a sacrificial lamb to all of the blacks and the browns and the yellows who despise Americans and white privilege and are just more than happy to beat me to a pulp. I get it everywhere I work, everywhere I live and everywhere I work. I live like a hermit. Not because I don't like people, but because I can't stand anybody in this godforsaken town that needs to be drained. But you can't find lawyers. You get Trump voted into office, but they still bullshit. Come on.
To hear that. So at least we know, like, when we watch Candace Owens, we are authentically getting like who she is. Now, all of us as entertainers, we kind of put on a little bit for the camera. We got to make it good. You know what I mean? But
it's all
she
entertainment.
is who she is. So
yeah, she's not putting on. She's not putting on for the camera. Candace was born like that. Candace was born a leader. Candace was born with a smart mouth. Candace was born being outspoken. Just all everything.
Being born with a smart mouth is not being born a leader. And quite frankly, I don't see any leadership from Candace. Yeah, she's pissed off. She's getting on a podium, but leadership is getting in the trenches, seeing a problem, and trying to produce a solution. As I say, I've been looking at the same problems that Candace has for many, 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 many more years than she has. What the feminists have done, what Freud. We need to look at Jung as well. That gets into the Mellon family. That was Tim Mellon's, Bunny Mellon, and his father, Paul Mellon. There was a lot of stuff going on there. So we need to look at our history and change that. But see, leadership is not getting in the limelight. Leadership is getting down in the trenches and being first. What was it? Who was it said, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is being scared and doing it anyway. And going for the charge and leading the charge.
You see on the internet, what she give you is literally who Candace is. So she really not fronting. Like, maybe she be capped a little bit with some things, but for the most part, she's who she is.
She is who she is.
And this is one of the things I do understand. She has small children that they can take from her. And that's a big, big, big thing that's going to silence you. That's why partner up with me. They took my kids. My kids are grown. My kids are the same age as Candace. I want grandchildren. I don't care. I don't care what you do to me. What I care about my children and my children's future, you can do anything you want to me. And I won't go away, and I'm not going to reverse trends. I'm not going to be shut up. Because you've already taken everything that's important to me. And everybody beats me down. I got to go into work pretty soon. In the hot kitchen next to the grill, a bunch of snot-nosed brats who give me attitude. I'm like, wait a second. You kids, you want to come to America the Great to cash in, cash in. If I had anybody in Washington helping me, lobbying all of these congressional members, all they have to do is put their signature on a petition and we send it up to Capitol Hill. You see, I got 6 million signatures from Washington, D.C. area alone. No, they just want to cash in.
I like that. I like that. And I like to tell people this too, right? Instead of saying you don't like somebody because everybody tell you not to like them, why don't you go check their stuff out? Read up about them, give them a chance, because I had always heard Candace Owens was bad, and then I heard her speak, and I watched some videos, and I was like, I'm agreeing with some of this. I can't because I've been called white my whole life too, so maybe that's why I was kind of like, well, hell, I understand, but I just think that we as Black people have to learn that we ain't all the same. You know what I'm saying? And so,
yeah, I agree. You know what I mean? She definitely is always been an outcast, in that aspect. It's like 20 first cousins. It's like 20 of us. And, and she definitely been the outcast out of all of us, how she approached life, who she is, her character and, things like that. So I will say that about her.
That's what's up. So you have good things to say about her, which is good. So let me ask you, she's a political commentator. Did you expect her to go that way, or was it kind of like a shock to the family?
Yeah, it was, all right, so it was a shock at first, but like literally now that I look at it, I'm like, oh shit, it kind of, excuse my language, but it kind of made sense. And in a sense, it made sense. Like looking at her whole life, it kind of made sense the lane she in. But me personally, no, I was shocked. I always thought she might have been maybe like a famous actor or doing something in the music industry and things like that. Because Candace she's been in the industry since she was like 17. Like she know a lot of people in the entertainment industry. You know what I mean? So honestly, a lot of people that talk mess about her is probably like.
But see, this is where politics has been taken over by the entertainment industry. That's what this is all about. I mean, Candace Owens, it's like Eva Longoria, who said, wait a second, my family didn't leave Mexico, didn't, move from the Mexican border to the American border. It's the border that moved. It wasn't our family that moved because they were there before Texas became part of the United States and was still part of Mexico. It's like border move, not me.
This fan low key before she got popping, you know what I mean? Things like that. But no, seriously, she honestly.
So as I say, the border moves, the entertainment, politics has just been taken over by the entertainment industry. The entertainers have moved in and taken over. We don't have a political class. It's all entertainment.
Be in the entertainment business, but then when the politics hit, I was like, it really threw me off and threw me for a loop. But then, like I said, now where I'm at in my life now, and where we all at in our life now, it kind of makes sense, if that makes sense to you. Okay. Because like my aunt always made sure they was on the straight path. Candace never got in trouble her whole life. I don't even think Candace ever even bust a grape. Like, let's be honest, you know what I mean? She never got in a fight. You know what I mean? I mean, like, started a fight. Yeah, she got in a situation before, but like, as far as like, her starting a fight and things like that, she never been like that.
Okay. So she really just
That's why there was the lawsuit of I guess her senior year, that there was some racial stuff said against her and speculation that she was, had somehow incited that. I mean, I've listened to her version of it and seen criticism, and I mean, I think that there was no, how shall I say, she and her grandfather acted completely correctly. I mean, she's like, no, this wasn't, it's not like she's coming out and like, these kids, talking bad. She's like, look, we were teenagers. People, they said some stuff that wasn't appropriate. One of the guys wanted to date me. This is where she hung out with the white people. And apparently this was more of a guy not getting the girl he wanted rather than some race-based issue. And that's how it came out. And it came out with, right. This is why, the courageous conversation with Foxcroft. Why isn't Candace supporting me on all of this? Because they started the courageous conversation at Foxcroft, and this gets into this, is in Deep State, let's see, 8, 9, 11, Deep State number 11 on Foxcroft and the headmistress. I'm pretty sure it's that one. On how they took a situation of bullying by faculty, by the headmistress, and between students, and turned around and turned it into some courageous conversation promoting African American success stories in the United States to deviate attention away from that. Now, the lawsuit I have against Foxcroft would blow that out of the water. Now, why am I not getting any support from Candace? She's got lawyers. I've contacted her lawyer. I'm not, they just ignored me. So, as I keep on saying, the only thing that we can do is get everybody in court. Why are you ignoring this? Where's your problem? I mean, like, you have a problem with what I'm proposing? Okay, fine. Tell me what it is. We can discuss. But if you just tell me, shut up, stupid, shut up, stupid, shut up, stupid, when I'm 2, 3 times your age and have more education and more experience than you, that I'm not going to accept.
It's been about,
and the only reason that you don't like me and that I'm stupid or that, is because I'm not wealthy. Okay, but then you complain about how all of the oligarchs who are accumulating wealth, thanks to the 10%ers, the lawyers, the economists, the managerial class, you're bitching about how the oligarchs are controlling everything. Yet you're the ones who are keeping them in power.
It's kind of like she was born as an adult. What they say, that she had an old soul.
Facts. That's the best way you could put it. I'm not even kidding you. That is the best way you could put it. She always been super grown. Like, you know what I mean? Imagine Candace now. That's her when she was like mad little. So
that's what's up. That's what's up. What was your relationship with her like coming up?
We're really close. I'm 3 weeks older than her. Our moms and another one of their sisters were all pregnant at the same time. So 4 of us was born at the same in the same year. Like I said, I'm 3 weeks older than Candace, and then we have a boy. I'm a twin, and then we have a boy cousin was born like 2-3 months after us. So growing up, everybody knew us as the '89 crew. You know what I mean? We all super close. Plenty of pictures. Teenage years, younger, and things like that. You know what I mean? Basically. Honestly, our whole family grew up really close. All our first cousins, we all grew up super, super close. But Candace always had to select who she dealt with, though. You know what I mean? And the '89 crew, we were definitely the ones, like, we're all close. So,
okay, that's dope though. But you know what? I will say this, because I'm close with a couple of my cousins, and now I only deal with a few. Like a select few. But when you have that many cousins,
this is the thing. So this is a generation that, come on, none of these people have. They all grew up, and even their parents grew up under affirmative action. Now, I can understand how, let's go to the tree. There we are. How some of them, like her grandfather's generation, he was born in 1941. So yeah, he's still going to be growing up. As I say, like in Tucson, I remember we didn't belong to the Skyline Country Club. That was the one in the foothills, like the most exclusive country club. I mean, when I left Tucson in 1970, this was 78, I think it was like 150,000 people or something. So still relatively small town, and my father was a very prominent he was a world famous doctor. So, a prominent figure in the community. In fact, this is where I'm like, excuse me, Tucson, Old Guard. And Phoenix is in there as well. Old Guard ruling elite. Remember what happened to my parents? Everybody wants to know, what happened to the Wilcoxes? What happened to the Wilcoxes? Oh, that's a real story. What happened to my parents? My mom spilled the beans. I mean, I'm like, shit. I should get a book deal, if not a movie deal, on that story alone. And Louisiana corruption, and how that was all covered up by the upper crust of Louisiana and what they've been in. So we'll stick here with Candace Owens and Arizona for the moment. But so growing up in the neighborhoods, Veronica, Candace's aunt, she's a real estate agent, like Berkshire Hathaway. Yeah, okay, Veronica, this gets into Candace is criticizing Trump for his real estate investments. Okay, your aunt, that's small tie. I mean, she's a real small player in that whole house of cards, but she is part of it. And that is the injection of money and into the real estate markets, urban real estate markets, and particularly the upper crust. That's where everybody wants to concentrate because that's where they make money. There's one Spanish woman I know in Baltimore who was concentrating on reverse mortgages when that all came out. When she explained it to me, this is after the 2008 collapse. When she explained it to me, I'm like, what? So yeah, the housing stuff was not cleaned up and has just gotten worse and worse and worse. So anyway, they're all Tucson, Phoenix, as I say, growing up. We didn't go to the Skyline Country Club. We weren't members because they didn't allow black people. And my father, I mean, that you never said the N-word in our family. My grandfather was the first white lawyer to successfully defend a black man in the Deep South in 1910. You can see that in my family tree, that you can see under the Dickinson. I also have a family tree you could find under Winston Churchill's. So you got John Dickinson and then Winston Churchill family tree. You can see mine under there. So anyway, I grew up this still was an issue. And I saw that, like, when I was in Miami, one of my jobs, I was like the office manager, and I had to look for secretaries, and they were doing affirmative action. Well, Miami, Latinos did not make it as a minority in that whole, statistical stuff. Neither did the white people. So we were left with blacks. And so somebody came into my office because effectively all I had, we went through an employment agency. And they said we could do that because we were affirmative action. That's why there was already a screening process before they reached me. And so I only had black girls coming in. And one of the traders came in, the stockbrokers, he came in, he said, "What the frick are you doing? Are you like interviewing for Miss Black America? What's going on here?" And we both laughed, and I said, "It's affirmative action, and Latinos don't make the grade in Miami." And he just laughed, and he said, "Oh, okay, I get it." And then I had another guy come in, and he said, "Don't even think." And he was one of the guys I was looking for a secretary for. He said, "Don't even think about giving me a black girl." And I just looked at him. I was like, okay, I'm not going to fight with him. Good. I'm going to tell my boss, the office manager, what he just said to me. And that's his problem. I'm not that's above my pay grade in fighting with this guy over this issue. I'm going to buck it up over to my boss, but I'm going to tell him what he just said. And I was like, "Fuck you, asshole." I was like, I don't care what color their skin is. Just give me somebody with a frickin' brain. I don't care what their gender is either. Give me somebody with a frickin' brain. And the situation has gotten worse and worse. So, and that was 1989. So, as I say, this is still some stuff that Candace's parents would have grown up with, but I am sorry. Candace's generation, and even my generation, as I say, that this was Miami affirmative action. And they're already becoming entitled, everybody, white, black, brown, red, yellow, green, all of them. A bunch of entitled narcissists who just want to sit around and have life handed over to them on a silver platter. So the thing is, my big issue with Tucson, Phoenix, ruling elite, Louisiana, New Orleans area. This for example, my cousin, he's Baton Rouge. He's been big in the real estate markets there. He's even been on the board of the real estate people. Why with my parents had their farm taken away from this. This gets into Edwin Edwards. They had to, run. They were chased, and the FBI apparently was involved. There's still a lot of questions to be asked. My mother had the papers. They went on the run. They were in hiding. I do, we don't believe her. We don't. No, because it was just convenient. This made my father, it destroyed his career, and just like it's destroyed me. That's why my mother sided with my ex-husband. My story is no different. What I keep on saying is everybody wants to cover all of these stories up, and no, we're a civilized society. Everything's good. Nobody's violent. Our courts are in perfect condition. Our politicians are doing their jobs. We have a completely, our ruling elite, everybody, they're just above reproach, and respectable people in society. I mean, just the lie of all lies. They want to just maintain that facade so everybody can keep on living the good life. And if you get burned, you get burned. But unfortunately, in wanting to maintain this corruption, everybody becomes involved in RICO. So yeah, I'm gonna finish this.
Cousins around the same age. It's kind of like you have a bunch of brothers and sisters, so it's a good thing, I would think.
Right. Yeah, it was a good thing. When we
yeah, they have a network, and as I say, there are some very respectable people. I was just seeing Gary Melton. They brought out all of these people from St. Thomas and Candace's family. One of the guys, he passed away. And where was he? Over here. This was the Van Houten family, I think. And is it over here? I thought. Anyway, he passed away. I put his face in there, so we should have seen it. Oh, the blind. Here it is, I do believe. Yeah, this is Edward. He in 1941, he began his career with the U.S. Immigration and Naturalization Service as a messenger janitor. He took his leave to serve in World War II as a member of the armed forces in the U.S. Army. He was honorably discharged and returned to St. Thomas in 1946. He resumed his former position and worked his way up the ladder, being promoted as a clerk, an investigative aide, an immigration aide, and an examiner. In 1972, he was promoted to the rank of immigration inspector, which he credited as being his favorite position of his career. He enjoyed interacting with the interesting travelers he met each day. Unfortunately, so, this man sounds like salt of the earth. I'm sure was, I don't know. I assume he was a good father, good husband. This is what we should be honoring. Now, the thing that I'm like, you guys, where we need to, and I'm working still on his family tree. We found him there. I'm still working on it. But this is in St. Thomas. Now, what's in St. Thomas is Epstein Island. So let's go back to Candace's thing here. So and the immigration people. Now they had private planes and stuff, so this wasn't exactly the travelers that Candace's relative would be encountering. But my point being is, once again, Tucson, Arizona, Phoenix, whether the people I know in Louisiana, the African Americans, they got a bad situation there. In the Caribbeans, in St. Thomas, where Epstein Island is, the ruling elite, you all are the ones who decide what the norms are. Well, are we going to implement the law, or are we not going to implement the law? Now, this can be through the politicians, through the lawyers, through your businesses as a business owner, as a manager, or not. So that's, that's where democracies are made or broken. It's not on a slip of paper.
See, when we were younger, we never got into any arguments and things like that. But, as we get older, we have our differences and, things like that. I would say, probably the first argument me and Candace ever had was when we was like late 20s, you know what I mean? And
late 20s?
Yeah, late 20s. Because
Wow.
when she started, doing all this internet stuff, we all had to adjust. We spoke our mind. We did not like that, when she first came out, doing what she was doing. So, a few of us had a falling out with her, you know what I mean?
But I mean, what was it exactly that she was doing that they didn't like? This is where the dialogue, because her family is Democrat, the liberals and the pissed off liberals. But the pissed off liberals, y'all are out there just making money and trying to cash in. Now, why am I the only one speaking out about ending the war on terror, the war on drugs, because it's produced the new Jim Crow? I'm the one who's been on top of, let's take this to the International Criminal Courts. This is horrible. We have all of the evidence. I even went to what's her name? Michelle Alexander of the new Jim Crow, the author of the new Jim Crow. I said, let's go to the International Criminal Courts with all of this information, how the CIA, the American government, go on to Maxine Waters' Wikipedia page and scroll down. She's known about that. Why the CIA has been purposely involved in the drug trade and bringing crack cocaine into the United States in order to intentionally get the Black African American urban poor on that shit so they can arrest them and put them into prison. And that is for a very, very specific reason. It's the same reason that they're going and want to take away the white man's guns, is because you accomplish two things. These guys with the criminal records, the Black, you have 90% of Black urban poor who who are in prison or have a criminal record. Now, that disenfranchises them in the vote. And this is, these are part of the constituency of the Democrats and the liberals. Okay. So it disenfranchises them on the vote. So, and then they're bringing in the Latinos, they're bringing in immigrants, lots of them in Latinos, but they're bringing in immigrant populations, poor immigrant populations, in order, who will take the blue collar jobs, the minimum wage jobs that these poor Black urban people would be taking and doing. But now they've got a criminal record. So not only are they disadvantaged in the vote, but also in getting jobs because of their criminal records. And the Latinos, the immigrants that they're bringing in order to vote and work in minimum wage jobs, don't care. Don't care about the country. They're just here for the money. You see? So the thing is while the minorities, the old guard minorities, in this case, the African American, have been sitting, and the Catholics are in here as well, have been cashing in and like, oh, look, with affirmative action, we have become the nouveau riche. We've become the new ruling class. And we're just going to cash in and turn a blind eye to the pedophiles, to the cannibalism, to the sacrificing of children, trafficking of children, to the corruption in Washington from Capitol Hill all the way down. You know, this whole thing of let me just get on a podium and give a speech, bullshit.
Or had something to say to her about it. And then me, for myself, you know, I was upset with, you know, one situation where she definitely got exactly what it was. We kind of had a situation where we fell out, you know what I mean? But then now that I look at it, you know, after the years, you know, went on and things like that, I just mind my business, you know what I mean? She is who she is. When I see her on the internet, I just stroll up, you know what I mean? Things like that. But my cousin know I love her and nobody gonna ever touch her. I see a lot of these, you know,
that
famous
this
people.
is, you know, I just mind my own business. Her family hasn't supported her. My family? Have I gotten? No, I've been canceled by all of the white privileged people that I know. Why? Because I'm speaking out on the entire house of cards. Everybody, oh, we know the Rockefellers, they, you know, they were involved. Let's give a whole bunch of money to charity. We're going to promote the feminist. We're going to promote affirmative action and create havoc in the country. You know, all of these policies that have created problems, the ones that were started by the WASPs, the minorities have just embraced, oh, and let's do the same thing. But now we want the wealth and political power in our hands. And that's why the country is being split apart. As I say, I gotta speed up here. Because I need to leave for work in about a half an hour. So I am going to finish this up. So anyway, we go back. This goes back to my previous, gosh, this I had wanted to put in and I didn't. The previous slide on economics, where our problem is managerialism and everybody is fighting over capitalism versus communism or socialism. And what they need to understand is none of this is working because what they're promoting is Bernard Mandevilla capitalism, which says, yeah, well, prostitutes, drug addicts, drug pushers, drug producers, police, soldiers, you know, people who make clothes for the military. This produces economy. This produces the GDP, you know, something that you can quantify. It does produce an economy and division of labor, but it's not sustainable. And all you're doing is producing it for people who want to go to war. Instead, Mandevillian economics says that you have an invisible hand that will determine the distribution, the allocation of resources in a capitalist system. Now, your invisible hand, what the thing is, the trick there is that your invisible hand is people with morals and principles. And, you know, instead of wanting to go to war, they want to make some bread. You know, they want to build a house or they want to, you know, make some new clothes to wear. That also produces an economy. Now, I mean, everybody needs to be, I mean, this is one of the things, the difference between human beings and other animals is we do cover ourselves and our, particularly our reproductive organs. So you definitely want to do that. But let's cover it first off, which some of the fashion houses these days, it's just like, come on, you guys, what the frick are you doing? Nobody's gonna wear that out on the street. Oh, but it's art. What? I want clothes to wear. I want a piece of art. I'm gonna stick it up on my wall. And that's another can of worms. Don't even get me on that. It's all money laundering. And the fashion houses, I mean, I'm like, this is ludicrous. This is ludicrous. It's cheaper for me nowadays rather than going and buying a nice, like a good quality suit or a good quality dress or whatever. I mean, when I was growing up, my mother and even I was like, I would buy a dress and have it for 40 years. Okay, it wasn't one that I was wearing every day, but quality. You didn't, it wasn't just, oh, well, that's okay. I'll buy this cheap piece of shit and throw it away because next year I'm going to buy something new. And then it's, your clothes are not even quality. The fashion, I mean, either it's tasteless or it's you're coming out all over the place and it's not covering, it's not fulfilling its function. So anyway, yeah, like, what is the invisible hand teaching our and setting an example for the rest of society? That's what you need to focus on, and having a sustainable society, transforming from the power over into a power of partnership, as Riane Eisler is continually calling for and has been for many, many years with her nonprofit, which and she's written all sorts of books, same thing. I've written her several times, but never even received the courtesy of a response. As Susan Barash Shapiro exposes in her book, Tripping the Prom Queen, the only thing the feminists have accomplished is to increase the competition and aggression between women from husbands, mansions, and success of their children. That's where we get into, I disagree that your children having diplomas is a sign of success, or $1 million home paid for because they sold their souls to the devil. That's not a sign of success. So, that's been increased from those criteria to now include high-paying jobs in commerce and politics. And this is where we are like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She doesn't want to share the limelight. I'm not looking to share the limelight, Ms. Greene. Let's go out there and kick some butt. Same thing with Candace Owens. Your cousin says that you're one mean bitch when you want to be. That's what we need. But, check your egos at the door. If you really, the conservatives or the liberals who are sincere in being tired of all this shit, if you would get together and say enough is enough, then wouldn't be happening. I've got all of the evidence. Whitney Webb, she's done a wonderful job. There's people who have done wonderful jobs in gathering the evidence. I'm like, more power to you. But let's work together, because all of this division, the only thing it's accomplishing is the assholes in power getting richer and richer, while the people are getting more and more pissed off. And when the raping and pillaging comes, it's going to be your wives and children as much as everybody else. So I loved this. This was on the Valhalla's live stream that would have been the second, because of the fourth, that got taken down. Like, holy shit, buddy, they keep on doing that to you. And it was for bullshit. Apparently it was because he showed like some weapons on there, and he didn't show any weapons. He's like, shit, I've been showing weapons in the Charlie Kirk stuff. They don't flag me for that. They flag me for something that's not even true. So anyway, but it doesn't matter if it's true. He's got to go through the process of contesting it. His live stream's taken down. He's back on air. It's a pain in the ass. He's lost time. Each time it demoralizes him more and more. So they know it's bullshit, but it accomplishes their goal. It makes life difficult for him. And that way he can't concentrate on calling out the government and saying y'all are a bunch of assholes. So they accomplish their goals. So anyway, here's, as I say, here's your Adam Smith of nations, wealth of nations. You have their leaders. You're going to have some thinkers. Here they're entertainers instead of managers. Well, let's change this because you shouldn't have all of these entertainers in here. You should have some managers. So let's change that there one. Now here in the fable of bees, we just got entertainers instead of managers. And you don't want too many managers, okay? You want a large secretarial, administrative, infrastructure and security. Okay, I should put the administrative people in here. Aye. We don't have them over here. They don't exist. They rely on AI, and that's driving us crazy. I mean, I'm like, stop it. They keep on saying, no. All of these functions we're going to replace with AI. And I'm like, it's been driving us crazy for the past, well, I saw it in the IMF, and I've seen it also working in the restaurants. Yeah, it's just creating problems for everybody because the machines don't have any more brain. See, they don't have a brain either. They're just robots, just like the kids. So here, again, the ecosystem of Bernard Mandeville versus Adam Smith. And we got a Bernard Mandeville going on, even our first lady. No more whores and no more wars. I wish I could merch. I should start merching, but I have nobody to merch to. But would somebody out there put out a t-shirt that says no more whores and no more wars? Come on, Valhalla. That would be a good one. Good one for you. See, that's what marketing, like Jeffrey Hilton, he contacted me years and years and years ago. I think this came through James Ryan in Tokyo. And he said, well, what are you looking for global expats? Are you looking for in terms of partners, are you looking for an experienced CEO? Or are you looking for a techie guy who can do the platform and the technology? I was like, well, either or both. And I know he was like, well, what the frick do we need you for? Like, excuse me, marketing? Like the content of your product, which you're actually building and selling? That's not important to you? No, it wasn't. No, I thought it was crazy. I'm like, excuse me. Valhalla said I think he's got a business major, was it a marketing major, MBA or something? I'm like, yeah, and so what? All you guys got all of these diplomas, but nobody knows anything about how to implement this in the business world or the political world. Because since Lee Iacocca, since the 70s, they want to put Lee Iacocca in as president because they said, well, the politicians don't know what the fuck they're doing, so let's get a businessman in there. That was where the whole idea for Trump came. And Well, don't even get me on Lee Iacocca and bailouts, because that's where it all started. And then he's gone. He writes a book, Where Have All the Leaders Gone? I'm like, well, you run them out of town. You helped. So anyway, yeah, the problems have been brewing for a long, long, long time. And they're not getting any better. And this is basically, as I say, I've got to finish this up because I'm going to have to start getting ready to get to work. This is another thing. They have me scheduled for 2 hours as a cashier. Now, my understanding, I was told from workers, that if you're doing a shift, you're on these different shifts and you're working hourly, that they have to schedule at least for 4 hours, because you got to get to work and then you got to get home, and they're not paying you for that. So if I mean, oh my God, I have had arguments, and the one that I really want to see in court over this one is Michelle Zimmerman. She is the stepdaughter of the head of the FTC in Trump's first administration. Now, you talk about your dumb, stupid blonde, no more whores and no more wars. Michelle Zimmerman is one of them. And I don't know how many times I've explained to these people, and this gets into the scheduling of all of these different shifts. Look, if I tell you what I've got, these are the days that I can work, these are the hours that I can work. If you guys don't send me my schedule until the last minute, and I'm sitting here waiting, let's just say on Sunday, to find out what my schedule for Monday and that coming week is going to be, and I'm working 2 jobs, whoever sends me the schedule first, and you guys can't keep it, you're going to move me all around, then whoever contacts me first is the one who has priority. And then I'll say, well, now here's what my schedule has changed to. And then I'm like, keep it straight. If I've got to work 2 jobs, and in this case, if I'm 2 hours here, then 2 hours there, then 2 hours there, shit, I'm spending as much time in transportation trying to get to all of these jobs as I am in these minimum wage jobs trying to keep a roof over my head. But see, we're good. We'll just stick her on for 2 hours. We know she has no rights. Now, these are Spaniards. And my case is in Spain. And they promote their whole PR stuff. All of their marketing is how they are supporting women businesses in Spain and how all this women's rights. I'm like, are you people freaking kidding me? I had to flee Spain 20 years ago because I was trying to build a business, and my husband said no, and he was going to kill me if I didn't stop. Kill me, throwing me in a psychiatric ward, kidnap me and sell me into white slavery. I mean, there were various attempts. And I had to flee the country. And since I've been back, I have no rights in my own country. And you're sitting here like con todo cara, telling me that you're promoting women's rights when I'm living in a shithole and I have no rights. You schedule me for 2 hours, I gotta accept it because no lawyer's gonna help me. I can't. I'm old. Not only am I'm an old lady. I'm a homemaker that's been trying to opt in for longer than most of these kids have been alive or in the labor markets. And I represent white privilege, so I have no rights. I have no rights. I'm a stateless, rightless person. And then everybody around me complains about how they have no rights, how they've been oppressed, how it's all my fault. Yeah, it's really getting old. It's really getting old. So, and the problem is concentration of wealth and power into the urban areas, and that's being taken over by corporations instead of the feudal lords. The story does not change. Does not change. So there we go. And here you show the racial. I've gone into this to some extent already in these slides, but here you have the change of the racial mix in the United States. You know, at the, see, this is why you can't even see it, but let's go to the 1800s. Non-Hispanic white, WASP. You had the Catholics. See, then the minority, it was Catholics, but everybody was white, basically. And then, as I say, you did have the African American population, which had been brought in effectively as slaves. But that was not, it was the African Americans, it was, excuse me, it was the Africans warring, who were selling their slaves, who were selling their booty in wars to the slave traders, the white slave traders. So stop putting this all on the white people, because slavery has existed since antiquity. This is, you know, the last one, we went over that, has existed since antiquity. It is nothing new. The Black African Americans do not have a monopoly on that, and they really should get off of that boat, because it's really getting old and tired. And you saw, you know, with the Great Migration, what happened was the Civil War was not about ending slavery. It was about the industrial North taking power and control of the country and oppressing and dominating the agrarian South. And now this is why it's kind of all become mixed, and you got this Bible Belt, because it was never about the, you know, the North and South or slavery versus slavery. It was about industrialization, which is going to see the concentration of wealth into urban areas. And that's what you got going on there. And I really do have to finish because I have to get one. Oh gosh. So I'd hoped to get into this, and I am not going to get there. Well, we'll finish it up real quick. So again, all of these slides here, this shows you that the immigrants that they have brought in order to replace the white trash and the poor blacks, or, you know, white trash, the lower classes, they've allowed the liberal immigration policies. But look, 76% of PhD recipients of foreigners stay in the country, brain drain. 51% with master's degrees stay in the United States. They are not returning to their home countries. They're staying here, and they want the you know, not only the six-figure salaries, but positions of power in the government and commerce. And that's how the country has been taken over. And this is, you know, how I went into this, I read this, that how homemakers help the economy. The 30% increase in an economy's GDP, when its homemakers and young mothers move into labor markets in mass, only transfer work, which was previously done for free, to taxable income for government coffers. This is not having the positive effect that policymakers are claiming. The migration of women from the home and family into political and commercial arenas has not been the great success story which the feminists and their supporters claim, but rather just smokes and mere propaganda campaign. Okay, so You can look at this, women and minority in business and professional management. Amongst these industries is the 27.5 billion human resource management industry. That needs to be investigated, and I got a whole slew of lawsuits. It employs 9.5 million people and with an average of $90,000 a year. These terrorists, because they are terrorists, need to be drained from not only the Washington swamp, but from all of our swamps, urban areas, and our corporations. They have taken over. Women and minorities in IT, another industry where immigrants and minorities have been favored over white Americans, which employ 41.5% foreigners. Okay, this is an industry that is 20% Asian, 8% has Hispanic Latino, 7% Black Americans, and 1% Pacific Islanders. So that, the Asians have been really going in strong there. And regardless of how hard everyone tries to push women into STEM education, only 20%, 26% of labor markets are women, and 50% opt out by the age of 35 for a very good reason. Women are not, their brains are not, they're not the linear thinking of science and math. They're just not. The racial mix of women in these fields is 66% white, followed by 15% Black, almost 10% Asian, so that there, I am going to be late. So in 1950, women and minorities in DC government, in 1950, 24% of the federal workforce was made up by women. By 1960, the rate had risen to 30%. It continued to rise to 1980, 60%. Okay, it dropped a little in 1990 and 2000. It ended up at 43%. Then it rose, but minorities have enjoyed preferential treatment and overrepresentation in the US federal government for decades. They are creating havoc. This is also why it's being so difficult to drain the swamp. The minorities have, and I'm talking since the Catholics, okay, and the Jews, that's the white minorities, have been infiltrating, and they have no loyalty to the Constitution. Now, we had enough of that problem, believe me, when this was just the WASPs, okay, before all of that, we had enough of a problem having just the WASPs, understanding that we had a constitution and that their loyalty was the Constitution instead of the party politicking. Okay, that is not new. That is not new. That is not something that was invented by the minorities. They have just jumped in on the bandwagon. So, nonetheless, federal workers, including elected officials, keep insisting that the whites in Washington are supremacists for their mere presence here. I mean, I'm told it all the time. And then everybody wants to, this is the typical, I'm so freaking pissed off at all of this snot-nosed brat Latinos that I work with. They put me in the kitchen. It's the carry out, but same thing. I work with all of the Latinos. They sit there on their phones because they know I'll just, clean. I'm constantly cleaning. Oh, God, don't even ask them to do that. Inventory, cleaning, I'm like, and you guys, when we get into court, not only do I have the videos, but you got all of the security guards in International Square who can testify how they're sitting on their phones while I'm the one who's doing all the work. Yeah, I'm the white privilege. I'm the parasite on society. I'm the one who raised my kids, dedicated to my husband, the trad wife. Yeah, it wasn't intentional. I just wanted kids. So anyway, it's all bullshit. So while the federal government in the 1990s was comprised of 71% white, 18% black, 6% Latinos, 4% Asians, and almost 2% Indians. I mean, I'm rounding there. That's what we were looking at then. A DEI report shows that in the DC courts, the African Americans make up 69% of the workforce. Now, this is a huge problem, and nobody wants to talk about it. Clean up the frickin', I mean, the local government in Washington, the federal government has said, we're gonna turn a blind eye to all the crap that you guys are pulling if you turn a blind eye to what we're doing. Because see, the DC courts, we're gonna have to clean up the DC courts before we can get all of the assholes from Congress and everything, because this is under DC jurisdiction. How are we going? We can't have the courts here examining what's going on. We need some sort of, as I say, Nuremberg trials 2, grand jury. I don't care how you set it up, but we do need an outside judicial procedure and examination of what's going on here, because we cannot trust. I mean, my God, we've seen that. Ed Martin, that was the whole thing. Ed Martin got in, he was the district attorney of DC, sent him an email. Okay, here's my cases. Let's go to town. You get me the prosecutors. You saw what the prosecutors in New York did with the Me Too movement? Let's do it, but 10 times here, and not just target, whoever we want to take out. Let's target everybody who's going in, doing all of the corruption. We got everything. We got the Epstein files. We got everything. Now we need a tribunal to hold everybody to account. And we can't do that with what the DC courts. And so when Ed Martin ignored me, then Janine Pirro got in that position. So she got an email. So I was like, okay, so I went in the back door, and I did it through the official, civil rights division of the DC government, whatever. I went in and I did it through official channels. And of course they said, fuck off, which I knew they will, but I got it in writing. So I got them up a creek without a paddle on this shit, but I do need some help. So this is, DC government is such a garbage place to work. Please consider other employment if offered to you. When I saw that, I was like, thank you. So this needs to be cleaned up. We've got them under RICO. We've got them under Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. We've got them under the Enemy Alien Act. We just need to go for it. Okay, so that's going to have to be it, because I should have already left for work by now. So that is ending it up, and here was just the see, as I say, Candace, she's been looking at all of these issues in her book club, but little ladies, y'all need to do something about these issues in the real world, rather than just getting together in a book club and reading the books about all of the crap that's going on in your community. This is not going to stop by itself. So, okay, well, have a nice day. I'll try and get a chapter in on the Virginia Gouffre this afternoon. Bye-bye.